Ripple and XRP settlement, September 2023. We're going to break that down in detail today. We're also going to break down the dangerous area our economy is running into. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Coach JV. First, want to start out with an attitude of gratitude. Want to say from my family's heart to yours, I love you very, very much. Make sure you hit the notification button. We do shows every single day, Monday through Friday. We also have our Good Morning Crypto show as well to help educate you in this new quantum financial system. Big warning out there. We will never proactively DM you. We do not invest people's money. I have to say this on almost every single video and on my TikToks. Be very, very careful. We have a wealth protection team that teaches people index universal life, infinity banking concept. It's a free consultation. So in the description down below, you can meet with my wealth building team. On the bottom of the application, you will see the picture of my team. As we add more team members, we will add the pictures to there. So that way you can verify who is who. We will never ask you to send us money. So if anybody's asking you to send them money, make sure you say absolutely not. Those are all scammers. In the description down below as well is our training academy, our Warrior Academy, education academy to help you navigate through these crazy times. We've helped over 6,800 warriors worldwide to date. All right, so let's jump right into it, Warriors. So, man, this is really cool. So I know people get upset, people saying predictions. I'm just going to read what they're saying here. Now, I've met John Deaton. He's a pretty powerful individual within the ecosystem and attorney who has been helping us with the Ripple versus XRP case. There's something pretty interesting. So when people say September, all the way till that's 2 months away, guys. That's 2 months away. And we've been patient for 2 years. So I'm going to read this tweet from David Schwartz. And on the back end of this video, I'm going to show you how dangerous our economy is getting into. So I'm going to show you today why I think it's going to end in September. I'm also going to show you some more stuff from the Bank of International Settlements. And I'm going to show you the dangerous place that our economy is going into. And to me, it's all by design, guys. This is methodically and perfectly planned out to the point to switch the system. You need a shock to the system to move consumer behaviors. First, they resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate it, then they join it. We're now in regulation and joining phase. And those who hold on like a tick on a dog could be the wealthiest people in the world if they have a horizontal strategy. All right, so let's dive right into it. So David Schwartz posted, so there was a big tweet, what's it called, tweet thread going back and forth. So this is the first one that John Deaton put out. He said, so many people claiming something is strange because the Ripple decision is allegedly taking unusually long. He put, here's some facts to consider before putting your tinfoil hat on or jumping to conclusions. So he breaks down very powerful. He breaks down all these different things. You can go to John Deaton, make sure you subscribe to his channel as well. And he breaks down all these things using facts, figures, numbers, logic, which I like. He's using a logical circuit, right? So he breaks down all that stuff. And then David Schwartz pops in, which is the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer of Ripple. And it says, I know waiting is annoying, and we'd all love to have a ruling on summary judgment motions as soon as possible. But I wouldn't think anything was wrong, unusual, or strange until at least the end of September. Now, let's pause for just a moment. Oh, here it is right here. Cool. This is John Deaton put it out there. I don't even have to, I'll just read it off of his tweet. So, and I learned this from him at XRP Vegas, where he broke this down very articulately. But he says right here, he says, I agree. On September 31st, this is what I've been trying to articulate. Judge Torres would be placed on a 6-month naughty judge list for the first time, and her decision would be pending over 9 months. I didn't review every case she has had, but I didn't find any that were longer than 9 months. So basically what I understand is she'll end up in the appellate court, which is basically, it's like, hey, what's going on? Why has it taken so long to make this decision? Okay, so let me put my tinfoil hat on, though. I want to put my tinfoil hat on because I like to do that. And all of us are speculating. People are like, hey, you're just speculating. I am speculating. Every single one of us are. It's so funny when people say that. It's like, I hate all this speculation. That's what we're all doing. We're guessing, right? The big money is moving things back and forth, and we have to make informed decisions based on emotions, based on market cycles, and based on human patterns, right? So that's what I've done, and I've done pretty well by doing that, okay? So I'm speculating what I think is going to happen. So I believe in September that we are going to have a case settlement, which I think is going to put a little bit of price appreciation, but we're not going to have full adoption until we have regulation. But with the XRP versus Ripple, XRP versus SEC case, Ripple versus SEC case settlement, that's going to send a shockwave of regulatory clarity through the system, which is aligning perfectly with the BIS giving us regulatory clarity on the back end of 2023. So put your tinfoil hat on. When you look this way, there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. And I'm going to read this to you guys that I read yesterday once again. This is CNBC. This was the article that came out. I just want to read this one more time for the people in the back. Okay, this came out on July 10th. The America's banking landscape is on the cusp of a systematic shift. Expect more pain to come. Rising interest rates will deepen and loosen on securities held by banks. The motive of savers to motivate savers to pull their money out of their accounts, squeezing the main way these companies make money. Losses on commercial real estate and other loans have just begun to register for banks. So I'm going to pause for just a moment. When I was saying in June 2022 that when they started to raise interest rates, you're going to see a reverberation effect on the back end, the job markets. Everybody was commenting saying I was crazy. Here we are. I said Q3, Q4 2023, you're going to start to see the collapse of the capital markets, the job markets. There's going to be a liquidity crisis. But what saves that? Velocity of money moving 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Financial inclusion, bringing everybody into the system. Problem, reaction, solution. The person that creates a problem creates a reaction to the people. When the people need help, the same person that created the problem comes up with a solution. That's what narcissists do. It says what is coming will likely be the most significant shift in American banking landscape since 2008 financial crisis. Many of the country's 4,672 lenders will be forced. Many of the countries will be forced into the arms of stronger banks over the next few years. Remember, who did Elizabeth Warren call? Jamie Dimon. First Republic is available. Jamie Dimon. Larry Fink. Either the Federal Reserve calls Larry Fink, the government calls Jamie Dimon, either by the market's force or regulators, according to a dozen executives, advisory, investment bankers. So basically, they're saying that the smaller banks are going to go rushing into the arms of the bigger banks, just like same thing when the Federal Reserve in 1929, there was 8,000 banks underneath the Federal Reserve. I think 16,000 were not underneath the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve gave loans to the banks that were underneath the Federal Reserve and asked them to help the smaller ones, which ended up monopolizing the banking system, in my opinion. You're going to have a massive wave of mergers and acquisitions among smaller banks because they need to get bigger, said the co-president of the top 6 bank, U.S. bank, who declined to identify if they were speaking candidly about it. We are the only country in the world that has this many banks. Okay, so we're going to keep visiting this video. This video has been awesome, man. So I've been diving into this one. What was this? 801_XRP is the one that posted this video. So I want to give him credit once again. This is pretty powerful. I've been watching this 2-hour video. It's FSI Regulatory Session with the BIS and AGM. They're talking about cryptocurrency. So here's another cool section around this. And then I'm going to dive into how dangerously broke America is and what I am personally doing about it on the back end of this video. Let's dive into it.
To those guys who are not complaining about
it. So I will start by saying that it's one of the main challenges that we have. But at the same time, we are convinced that we have to work on it and to work on it in public-private partnership. As it is.
So the thing I want to share with you guys is that you're going to keep hearing public-private partnership, even playing field. Okay, we're going to be technology neutral, even playing field, public and private partnership.
It's a key principle, the travel rule, to ensure payment transparency. And of course, when we are talking of AML CFT merger without payment transparency, we can't do our job, and financial institutions, service provider, crypto asset provider can't do their job also. In our view, it's not negotiable. So that's a strong part of our statements. But having said that, we are also convinced that now that we are in an evolving environment as regards technologies, we have the possibility to work with other authorities and to work with the private sector to enable these travel rules to really being implemented. And that's
so remember, they're using the word implemented. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they're telling you crypto's a fraud, it's rat poisoning, it's used for money laundering, and now they're using the word implemented. When, not if, when and implemented. Regulation by 2023.
That's what we are observing. And this travel rule, what is important is also ensuring transparency of payment is important for also the integrity and the security of the payment, so that it goes beyond AML CFT purposes. That's the first thing. Secondly, we are perfectly conscious that we have a challenge, which is not only the cost, but the fact that we have to ensure compatibility with another rule, which is very important, which is the right for a customer to have privacy. So customer protection on one hand, and AML CFT rules to implement on the other hand. Once again, given the discussion that we have with the private sector, and in particular a large part of the industry, we think that there is a possibility to develop a solution that will make it possible to implement efficiently the travel rule. That's what we observe. And we are observing good progress at the national level. But there is a second challenge, which is we are talking about something which by nature can be cross-border. So that's the challenge. And I think that's the most important challenge that we are facing, not the technology at the national level, not the technology that can, the solutions that can be developed at the national level, but this question of interoperability and the fact that we have something which is coordinated as a framework at the international level. Because if you have a virtual asset service provider subject to rules on one side, sending the money to another country where the rules are different or where the rules don't exist, that's where you have the challenge. Because they are obliged to apply rules, and they can oblige just one leg of the rule, not the other one, that, meaning that they don't have access to the information related to the beneficiary, for example. So that's where it's really important that we continue to coordinate among the authorities, and that we continue to work in a quite innovative way with the private sector. We can't work with virtual asset service provider as we have been working with the banks and financial sector, traditional financial sector. Why? Because the first thing that we have to do is to convince these new actors that yes, there is an added value to be supervised. And
Gosh, okay. We are speculating, but we're doing a good job, family. We're doing a great job. So, how do you convince a decentralized application to work underneath regulation? You cut off their supply, guys. You sue them. You put them in a put what it's called operate choke points, all the choke points, cut off all the ability for people to do staking, to get their money out. You sue the living you know how much money it costs, guys. We have multiple companies in different sectors. You know, we had a fund. We've met with people who know SEC law. It's expensive, guys. At a very small level, it's expensive. And I used to run banks, went to CBA Executive Banking School. To implement these changes are massive, massive. So she shared. So they're literally, that's what all this is about. It's stalling the system because they know systematically there's a massive systematic shift that has to happen. So they're balancing right now the traditional banking system. They have to become part of crypto, guys. Let me repeat that. They have to become part of crypto. If they don't, they will die. It's a blockbuster moment for the traditional banking system. Let's go back to this right here, guys. It is a blockbuster moment for the traditional banking system. Okay. The smaller banks are going to get smashed and monopolized by the bigger banks. What are the bigger banks doing? JP Morgan is doing what? Onyx, JPM Coin, already up and running with cryptocurrency. The rich clients can invest in cryptocurrency, but their middle class, oh, they can't get involved in it. Bank of America's with Ripple. Wells Fargo's with R3. These large organizations who are supported and bailed out will monopolize the smaller banks because they will not be able to get up and running very quickly with the system. Okay, now here's the dangerous part. I want to show you guys something. Okay, so as this all is going on, you know, everybody's focused on all this stuff of, oh, the government. Guys, you need to focus on figuring out how to retire. It doesn't matter If you can't feed your family, if you can't figure out how to retire in the future, this is the numbers right now. This was shocking to me, guys, because most people we meet with, when you ask them, and it's not a condescending thing. It's like, what is your retirement number? People have no idea. Zero idea. Look at the numbers here, guys. These are the age groups. This is the average net worth. The average net worth, okay? 75 and older is 977,000. 64 to 75 is 1.2 million. 55 to 64 is 1.1 million. But then look at the median net worth, 254, 266. But let's break this down. 1.2 million may sound like a lot to you guys, but if you're 75 years old and you have 977,000, do you realize that at 4% interest, that's about $37,000? I'm just doing rough math, for about $40,000 in retirement income. Let me ask you a question. With inflation and the interest rates, if you were retiring right now, could you live off $40,000 a year? No. That is not retirement. The American dream is dead. Pensions are dead. This is the result of a 401k, which is a tax code to keep you poor. Let's go a little bit deeper here, okay? So this is the top 1% in the population. To me, this is not a lot of money, guys. I have my retirement number. To retire the way that I want to retire, just in my insurance, I want 24 million in my insurance. That will give me around 1 million per year in retirement, $100,000 per month. So I pick my retirement number, then I back into the daily activities, the companies, and the investments that I need, some risky, some not risky, in order to allow myself to invest, to grow, to multiply, to get to that number. But Americans don't even know their retirement number. And I'm going to show you another shocking thing of how crazy families' finances are getting right now. So this is a top 1%. I thought it'd be a lot more wealthy. So this is a top 1% in the population, okay? So 70 to 74 is 12 million. 75 to 79 is 12 million. So that's a pretty decent living right there, right? You're living off probably, and I'm just doing based on about 4%. You're living at about 500,000 per year, which is pretty solid, right? But that's the top 1%, family. This is the bottom quartile. This is the bottom quartile. So ask yourself a question right now. So if you got rich in cryptocurrency, what are you going to do? And this is the bulletin that came out in 2019, and this is dramatically dropped, by the way. This is the earnings recession is here. This came out by Yahoo yesterday, and it's about to get even worse. So second quarter earnings seasons begin in the earnest this week, and forecast is rather bleak. Expectations for the earnings to decline for a third straight quarter. Consensus estimates a decline of 7% in earnings per share among S&P 500 companies compared to the same quarter last year, which would mark the steepest decline since 2020. Across the sectors, consumer discretionary, communication services are only 2 of the 11 sectors expect to see a second quarter earning growth. Only 2 sectors. So what does this mean to you? Why is this important? These are your jobs, guys. And when they're losing money in the S&P and interest rates are super, super high and they can't borrow their way out of issues anymore, guess what the number one expense is? 40% of our gross revenue is employee cost for our one of our companies. And I'll give you an example. 600,000, over close to 700,000 in just salaries for one of my companies. Okay. So we have a human-centric CFO. We get more productive, but most CFOs are number-based. So they don't care about the tellers and bankers and the gas station workers and all that stuff. They're like, I see a number. The number is our employees are very expensive. So what they do is they start to cut employees and try to make the ones that are working there be more productive, right? So they start to cut employees instead of becoming more effective. And then you're not in the system putting loans into the bank, right? And then the liquidity gets squeezed out. So the smaller banks start to struggle. We see a catastrophic collapse of the financial system. And then they move in velocity of money. Here's another thing that's happening right now. Americans owe $1 trillion in credit card debt, okay? And this is getting worse every single month. 1 trillion, rationalize that, guys. 1 trillion in credit card debt. I think our balance sheet is 27 trillion for America. America has more debt than it does money. Okay. In 2008, the GDP to debt was positive. We are now in a worse position, I believe, than 2008. And our America is negative debt to income ratio. And it's getting worse every single day. So here's exactly what I'm doing, not financial advice. So I'm invested in a speculative cryptocurrency called respective asset called cryptocurrency. It is not my retirement. Everybody's like, I'm going to get rich and retire off crypto. You're not going to get rich if it goes up and comes collapsing down. So right now I'm accumulating. As we go into 2024, we will hit the Bitcoin halving based on cycles. If it follows the same cycle, it's going to go parabolic. Okay, when it goes parabolic, as everybody's coming into crypto, I will be exiting 50% of my portfolio. I will hold 50% of my intrinsic value cryptos long term. I'll be exiting and laddering out on the way up. Okay, because what happens is when they tell you Bitcoin's going to 100,000, it's going to hit 68,000 because the whales are going to pull and they're going to sell you their cryptocurrency. So as I pull my cryptocurrency, I'm going to be using my index universal life policies, legacy policy, retirement policy, leverage policy. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it's working for me. Okay. I will have a leverage policy that I will use to put good amounts of money in. Okay. And then I will leverage if I want to buy back into the markets, multiplying my money. I also will be buying more silver, more gold. I was getting into gold. I have silver for borrowability. I'll be getting more real estate, and I will be getting more equity in companies. So over the past couple of years, what I've done is I've developed companies to increase my earning capacity. So I went from being completely broke to having equity in 9 companies. We have 3 going into profit in August. So each month and each quarter, I work to increase my earning capacity every single quarter. Okay. And if you're trading time for money, you will always be broke. So what I'm starting to do is I'm using money to buy equity and to get into companies that are turning my money into time freedom. So my money now frees up my time. I don't trade time for money. So I use money to buy equity to create companies that increase cash flow. And then the cash flow buys more things that free up my time. Does that make sense? And so I'm just going to repeat the process over and over and over again. So my retirement goal just in my insurance is 24 million. So I back into that retirement goal. My apologies. I don't know if you guys heard the phone ringing on my computer here. So I basically back into my retirement goal, but you have to know the numbers, guys. So a good way to do this is, let me do the math with you. Okay. So take your calculator out. Okay. And if you want to retire with, how do we do this? 100,000 per year. Okay. So if you want to retire with 100,000 per year, my CFO taught me this, divide it by 0.04. Okay. If you want to retire with 100,000 a year in retirement income, you need roughly $2.5 million. Okay. That's what you need to retire. So let me ask you a question. What you're doing right now, your 401k, is that going to get you there? If the answer is no, then you need to understand how to increase your earning capacity. Number one, you do that through mentorships. You do that through reading. You do that through understanding investing. Yes, you could get very wealthy in crypto, but it doesn't matter how wealthy you get if you just spend it on stuff. You need to learn how to multiply that money. So hopefully this information helps. I'm just showing you exactly what I'm doing. I was broke on my parents' couch 4 years ago, and I made my obsession of rewiring my brain, studying nonstop, things like becoming your own banker, Think and Grow Rich, been reading for 17 years. I follow all the principles in there, the big debt crisis, Ray Dalio, Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I followed their concepts, and I mixed up and mixed-moshed my own concept. Some people believe in index universal life. It works for me. It works very well for me because I like security. I like safety. The crypto thing is like, I like it. I'm in it, and it's made me a good amount of money, a lot of money, but it's very volatile. I don't like the feeling of the uncomfortableness of, so I'm not emotionally attached to it. Okay. Not emotionally attached to it. So I love you guys. I think my internet just crashed. Love you guys. Appreciate you. As we always say, warriors, rise, get your shit together. Let's go.